test.
Yeah.
Efficacy. How effective has it been? How helpful
Yeah.
has it been to the teams, to the players, and is it achieving what it was intended to achieve?
So let me explain without all the details and the words. You understand? So the idea is very, very simple. Okay? When you have players going from junior team football or school team football and they're signed by top clubs because they're talented, what happens is there's a bit of a gap. In other words, someone who's going from academy level might not be ready to play senior team football. That is the idea. So if they aren't ready to play, what FUFA are trying to do is to make sure that players who are going from that level to the higher level do not just sit somewhere. They're very talented, they're signed by, say, Vipers or KCC or whoever. So what they're trying to say is that because these boys have talent, they do not want them to just sit on the bench of that top club, and the top club is signing them because they're exciting young players, so they want to sign them, they get them, but then they're not ready to play at that level. So what they're saying is that, how do we create more playing time for these boys? By having a system where they can go out and play as a double player for another team in another division. So you're more likely to be able to play in the big league or in the regional league and not at that top flight level where there's a lot of pressure, where maybe you're not ready. And the plan is for them to get more minutes. And if they get more minutes in those teams, then they would like to think that now they're able to play top flight football. That is the idea. So they want to give them a bit of freedom, go get playing time in the lower division, come back to the top flight, and then play because now they have a bit more experience. That is the design. That is the logic, and that was why this thing was created. So that is what it's designed to do.
On paper.
On paper, yes.
What's the reality?
The reality is, yes, it can happen. When I say yes, it can happen, I mean, why this thing is ridiculous to me is because of execution things. It's because of how it is done. And yes, the other day I said, I think this thing is ridiculous and I don't get it. So some people went and literally thought that, oh,
I don't understand it.
I understand the concept. It's been there. This is the third season. It's been running. I've been a part of literally a club that has to do it. It's mandatory. We're supposed to know how it works. We know how it works. I'm talking about the reality of the situation. Because what happens if I'm supposed to register 30 players? You know what teams do, Jermaine? I want to get 30 players. I am allowed to license, but only a certain number. So for every 6 players, I have to have a double. In other words, I have to have a young player below the age of 21, and I have to get that young player a club to play for. I have to do it keeping in mind that as part of my registration, I am supposed to get a club for this young guy. So what teams do, they can get 24 players, then they get a bunch of youngsters who maybe aren't even good enough, but because they want to get licenses, they get any random guys with licenses below 21, and they just attach them to clubs. They don't even care about their development because they want licenses for the real guys that they want. They want to get those 24 guys that they're going to use. They don't care about the other guys. So the reality in that situation, some people just want to be licensed. Some people just want to get players registered on the system, and the only way they can do that is by getting a bunch of young guys who they don't really care about in terms of development, and they send them off to wherever they go. This division club, do you want a player? Okay, whatever, just take this guy, take this guy. So they're not really bothered about their development. They're just doing it because they need to go through the licensing. They need to get other players registered. So that is one of the actual things that is happening, which doesn't help those players grow. Another thing is, many of these players, I mean, if you are going to compete at the top level, not everyone is bothered by development. Some people are just interested in, I'm going to get my results, whatever happens, happens. So if I'm a club and my model is not necessarily to develop players, I understand what FUFA are doing is to make sure we care about developing players. They're trying to make certain teams think in that direction, and I appreciate that, right? They're saying, okay, you have to do this in order to have development. But the problem is, if a club doesn't think like that, they will never actually do it. If you want to have certain things happen, for example, if you're looking at some of the players I've been talking about, Stephen Amaesi, for example, that boy plays 90 minutes. 90 minutes for Police on a Friday. 2 days later, he goes to Mbale or wherever else Kataka are playing. It could be in West Nile, it could be in the West, it could be wherever. And he plays 90 minutes for Kataka. He's their captain. So he is playing 90 minutes on Friday, 90 minutes on Sunday, and he's a double licensed player.
Who does he train with?
Of course he trains with Police the majority of the time, so he just goes there to play games. And that is the question. You see, this is why I have an issue with it, because what happens is that he is not training with that team, but he's going there on match day. So what you're trying to tell me is that he's going to develop, and yet Police might be playing this style of football, the coaches might be focusing on this, and then he goes to Mbale, and Kataka is focusing on something else altogether. That is what is actually happening. Issa Bugembe, man of the match on Saturday. On Sunday, he's there holding man of the match for the other team. Issa Bugembe had a game on Saturday for UPPC, and he had a game on Sunday for Wakiso Giants. He is a really talented player. But guess what? I've worked with Issa Bugembe, and I'll tell you, he's one of the most talented footballers in this country. Certainly, if you're looking at players below the age of 25, he's one of the most talented players in the entire country. I've worked with this guy. We gave him his Premier League debut at Bright Stars. He was in our junior team for all those years. The problem with Issa Bugembe is not that he needs more football. Issa Bugembe needs less football. And I know this for a fact because I've worked with him. He is so talented. He has a left foot that looks like he's left-footed. He has a right foot. He's actually right-footed. So he has two very strong feet. He can head. He is powerful. He has all the attributes that you need as a footballer. And because he has so many attributes, when he was a young player playing for Royal Giants at school, he was seen by the coaches he was working with, and everyone was saying this boy can play this position, this position. He's playing for Royal Giants, then he moves to St. Mary's Chitende, then he's playing for his clan, then he's playing for the Bright Stars under 17 side, then he's playing Masaza Cup. Because he's so talented, he's playing for so many different teams, he's playing for so many different coaches, and every single coach sees what they see and they put him in different positions. This is a boy who played right back, center back, left back, 6, 8, 10, 7, 11, 9. He played so much football in so many positions, and no one ever said, settle down here. Now he's playing at UPPC, where finally he's settling in a position I think he should be playing, in the central midfield, where he can actually dictate the play because he has the ability to do that. But now for 90 minutes he'll play on the Saturday, then he'll go and play for Sunday in another team where they might be playing him in a different position. That's why I'm saying a guy like that doesn't need more football, he needs less football. And what will happen if he goes and plays 90 minutes one day, he doesn't have a rest, he plays 90 minutes the next day? You're risking getting this boy injured. And that is what is actually happening to. I've had players get injured while they're playing as double licensed players for another team. Who is supposed to treat the guy when he gets injured? Imagine he's playing in the big league or the regional league. He goes there, he gets injured, he comes back, and then I'm supposed to treat him when he got injured with some other team playing some other. Like, that is something no one is thinking about. A boy gets injured, it's you supposed to treat him. A boy doesn't train with one team the entire week, he just goes there, plays on match day. First of all, in that other team, what message are you sending to those other players, Jermaine?
Who train
You're
and
like,
still
we're
have to
training
make
the
space.
entire week, this guy comes, and now I'm on the bench. So I'm trying to teach players in the regional league or the big league or whatever, and then some other guy just comes on match day and plays. So what was I doing the entire week? Wasting my time? Am I supposed to understand as a young player that I will be rewarded for working hard? And at the same time, if you're telling me that I'm supposed to play these guys, what happens is that on match day, like what was I doing the entire week as a coach? I'm trying to build a team. I'm trying to make my players play with a certain amount of structure.